Hey guys, this is Jason Morris with the Facebook group Real Estate Agents That Really Work. So guys, one of the things that I've had going on this week is I've had my for sale by owner master class going on. And the thing about this class is it was extensive. It was literally it was 4 weeks long. We went really deep into the whole for sale by owner topic. It covered a lot of stuff that was in my group, in my book, How to Be a FSBO Master. And one of the things that had a lot of people, it was only limited to 100 people, and we actually had a few more than that sign up, and it sold out like in 11 minutes. So what I thought I would do was I would go through the basics. I'd give you guys a basic overview of how to become a FSBO master, and I'd give you some basics on how that program looked and what that program was all about. So becoming a FSBO master, this is kind of the cheat sheet version, the short version. So instead of basically what I'm doing is I'm taking about 5-6 hours of content. I'm going to put it into a 1 hour webinar for you guys here on YouTube. So guys, the first thing I want to talk about today is how to make a profitable schedule. So we're going to kind of move quick, but this is going to be on YouTube, so you can go back and you can kind of review it and stuff. So how to make a profitable schedule. A lot of agents I see this over and over again. What they do is they basically wake up in the morning, and it's not that they don't want to go to work. It's not that they don't want to go out there and do stuff. They just don't know what to do, and they don't know how to build a schedule. We're probably one of the only sales professions that people go work in and they have no schedule. And you think about it, the schedule that you're working currently, if you worked at any other job other than real estate sales, would you still be employed there? Because, you know, if you're at a regular job and you miss Monday, right? And you miss Monday, you call in, it's probably not a big deal. You miss Tuesday, you probably are going to need some sort of excuse. Things are going to be a little bit more serious. You miss Wednesday, Thursday, with the excuses that we give ourselves about why we didn't prospect and why we didn't go to the office and things like that today. You miss 4 days in a row with no excuse, no nothing, just, hey, I didn't show up because, hey, I didn't feel like it. It was sunny and we went to the beach, or whatever your excuse is on why you're not working today. You miss 4 days in a row like that in the other job, and they've got a help wanted ad up somewhere for you. I mean, and the thing is, in the real estate industry, we do it all the time. And the thing I always tell people is, God, you look at your goals, you look at the goal you want to make, and most of us want to make a fairly large sum of money selling real estate. You look at the goal you want to make, and then lots of times our schedule doesn't match it. So I want to give you real quick, is it just a quick strategy on how to make a profitable schedule. Okay, the number one thing you want to do is you want to pull out your calendar, you want to pull out your day planner, and you want to go ahead and plan all of your family time. And by what I mean with this is, these are your family obligations. What are you going to do? Are you going to have to take the kids to school? Do you have soccer games and baseball practice or football practice or whatever? You know, what all are you going to have to do? And most of the time, you know, school schedules come out like months in advance. You know, are you guys taking family vacation here in the next quarter? You know, you don't have to do this for the next year, but at least for the next 30 days, or at least for the end of the month. I mean, I would think that'd be a minimum. If you guys are listening to this and you don't have your schedule planned for the rest of August, then, you know, you need to probably stop this recording right now and do that. But plan your family time. Figure out what days, what times do you have, because here's the thing: if your business life and your family life are colliding, then only one of those two things are going to win. So if you know that you have to take the kids to school every morning and they have to be there at 8, and you know that there's no way you can be on the phone prospecting at 8 a.m., then there's no need to schedule yourself to be at the office prospecting at 8 a.m. So the first thing you need to do is schedule your family commitments, your family time, and all that stuff. The second thing you need to do is all non-negotiable business items. Now, non-negotiable business things, what I'm talking about is like continuing education for your real estate license. You got to have it. You got to do it. If write it in your schedule when you're doing it. If you're going to chamber events, networking, you know, those things can't be moved around to fit your needs. Put it in there. Your coaching calls, if you're in my coaching program, 11 a.m. on Thursday morning Eastern time, You know, put that in your schedule, because my group coaching doesn't change times for anybody. You know, all of your non-negotiable business commitments you need to put in your schedule. The third thing you need to do is you need to schedule your prospecting time. And this is where a lot of agents mess up. They put in their family time, or they put in their business time and their business commitments, but they don't actually put in blocks of time where they're going to prospect, where they're going to actually call the for sale owners. Because here's the thing, if it's not in your schedule, you're not going to do it. I promise you. So they don't put in that time when they're going to call for sale owners, when they're going to call expireds, when are they going to do follow-up, you know, when are they going to do the activities to generate business. Number 4, something I do in my schedule is I go ahead, even though I don't have the appointments, I put appointment blocks in my schedule. And the reason I do that is so that I know, like, hey, at 2 o'clock, I have a block that I can go on a listing appointment. If for some reason I'm not on a listing appointment, then, you know, I know that I need to do other stuff, or I can do other stuff, but I go ahead and put those blocks of time in there where I can go ahead and I know that I have some blocks of time there that I just plan around for listing appointments. Number 5, the next thing that you need to put in your schedule is stuff, okay? Because, you know, and by stuff, I mean the things that you kind of got to do, but, you know, they're not generating you money or income right now. And by stuff, I mean, plan your time you're going to do paperwork. Plan your time if you're working on your website, plan the time you're going to work on your website. Plan, you know, all the things you're going to do. Plan those items and plan when you're going to do them. That way you have that time set aside to do it, and you're actually going to do it. If it's in your schedule, you're going to do it. If it's not in your schedule, then who knows? You're probably not going to do it. Guys, the next thing I want to talk about here is that we talked about and covered a lot. And like I said, we're going to move kind of quick, and I've got 8 or 9 of these slides like this. Top 3 objections. I thought this was one of the best things that we covered during that class. You know, the top 3 objections, and we covered more in this when we covered user-generated objections. And that whole class is actually part of my group coaching at jasonmorrisgroup.com. So the number 1 objection that we get from people is, I don't want to work with an agent. Okay. Typically, most objections aren't very difficult to overcome. And lots of times they're just smoke screens. Lots of times they're just telling you something to get you off the phone. And chances are they're not just telling you this something. They're telling everybody this something. So here's the thing. I don't want to work with an agent. Here's how I overcome that. Hey, no problem. You do want to sell your house though, right? And then I start asking them, what do you want for your house? How much do you want to walk away with? How soon do you want to sell it? I go right back into my script. And what I do is I focus on their needs rather than my own. Yeah, I know you don't want to work with an agent, but you do want to sell your house, correct? How much do you want for the house? What do you want to walk away with? That's fantastic. Okay, and then I can just go right back into my script, and I go ahead and set an appointment just like normal. You know, the thing is, they're telling people that as soon as they call. Most people don't even know how agents work. It's not that they don't want to work with that house. Typically, people have a problem, and that's why they put their house on the market, is they think selling that home is going to fix that problem, right? And the first thing, you know what? If it's for sale owner, if it's expired this morning, they're probably getting a lot of agents calling them. So the easiest way to get these agents off the phone is just go, hey, I don't want to work with an agent. And the agent goes, oh, okay. They hang up and they never call back again. So what I do is I just confirm they want to sell their house and then just go right back into my script. Number 2, I don't want to pay a commission. Here's the interesting thing about this is because, you know, of course they don't want to pay a commission. You know, when you look at 5 to 7% on a $200,000 house, you know, we're talking about $10,000 to $14,000 in cost. Yeah, I don't want to pay that either. I mean, you know, it almost gives you almost a little bit of heartburn thinking about having a $10,000, $14,000 bill at some point. But here's the thing. Most of them don't understand that we don't get paid anything unless the house sells. You know, so typically I do the same thing with this. Once they say, I don't want to pay a commission, my response is, oh, okay, you don't want to sell your house, right? They go, oh, yeah. Well, how much will you take for it? What do you want to walk away with? And then I just go right back into my script and I continue forward. Now, number 3, this is my favorite objection to get. And this is one that we hear all too much. A lot of these sellers, for some reason, they think that we always work for 3% or we're always interested in 3% for a buyer. They say, oh, I'll pay you 3% if you bring me a buyer. Now, this objection tells me one main thing, okay? When they say this objection, the number one thing that goes, my mindset, once I hear it is, oh, wow, well, you'll pay 3% commission. Okay, so you're open to working with a real estate agent. All we're doing now is we're just negotiating, commission rates. And then I go, oh, okay, fantastic. Well, look, and I just go right back in our script. Hey, I'll pay you 3% if you bring a buyer. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, and I go right back into my script because all you're negotiating is what your commission rate is. So typically, typical real estate commission, 5 to 7%. Some people do a little more, some do a little less, but I'd say that's probably an average range in the industry, 5 to 7%. And typically, we're not a whole lot off. If they're already offering to pay you part of that, really, that's all you're doing is negotiating your commission at that point. They're willing to work with an agent. They're willing to let buyers come look at their house. They want to sell their house. You've gauged their motivation. You're just negotiating how much you're going to get paid. So, guys, next thing I want to talk about is how to get over the fear of picking up the phone. And like I said, this is a quick overview, and there's a lot that's packed into today. So, one of the things about the things I hear over and over is people are scared to make the calls, and they're scared to make those initial calls. And the problem is lots of times they're scared of what's on the other end of the phone. Well, the thing is, the other end of the phone, those people, they don't know you. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. They probably don't know what you look like unless they looked you up online. They're not going to recognize you in Walmart later on today when you're walking around, and they're not going to eat you, So what do you, what really are you scared of? Worst case is, maybe they'll say something mean to you on the phone or something you don't like and you hang up the phone. Or maybe you say something they don't like and they hang up the phone. That's like really the worst thing that could happen. The thing that I've saw with agents that are really successful versus agents that are not really successful, and I've seen this over and over again, is the ones that are really successful, they have fears that outweigh the fear of getting on the phone. So, for example, they're fearing things. They've identified what they're more afraid of. They're afraid that if they don't pick up the phone, what's going to happen? They're going to have to go back to that job that they really hated. Are they going to have to, is this going to be like another I told you so for their spouse or family member or something? Where they're going, oh, I told you real estate wasn't going to work out. I told you real estate was really hard. I told you, what is their greatest fear? Most of us got in the real estate business for one of two things. Either we wanted more freedom or we wanted more money. Now, here's the thing. If you're not making money, you're not really going to have much freedom. So a lot of these agents that do really, really well and overcome this fear easily, what they've done is they've identified their greater fears. What are they more afraid of than that other person on the phone? And that's how they overcome that fear of getting on the phone. Now, another strategy on getting on the phone and getting over that fear is to have a large list of goals. And what I mean is a big list, and put everything down on it. Even the small things, not just the big things, not like a trip around the world or something like that. Or if you want like a $150,000 car, don't just put the big goals, put the little goals. And when you have those days where you're nervous about getting on the phone or you're worried about getting on the phone, review those goals. Think of all the reasons why you want to get on the phone, all the reasons why you want to get more listings, all the reasons why you want to make more money, all the reasons why you want to be more successful in the real estate business. Number 3, this is a strategy that I heard Jack Canfield talk about, and I've heard Jim Rohn talk about, and I think it really is useful. The feeling of gratitude and the feeling of being thankful can't exist in the same mindset with the feeling of fear. So one of the strategies that I've used and I've seen people use is they make a list of the top 50 or top 100 things that they're thankful for. Thankful for the community you live in. They're thankful for their spouse. They're thankful for their kids. They're thankful for awards they've won. They're thankful for whatever there is. I'm thankful for air conditioning today. It's really hot outside. But think of all the things that you're grateful for, and that feeling of being grateful and that feeling of gratitude can't exist in your mind with the feeling of fear. So going through that gratitude list will get rid of that feeling of fear. But you have to make the gratitude list first. Guys, the next thing I want to talk about is the four presentations that literally happen at every single listing appointment. Okay, so let's say, for example, you are going down through. You get to the house. Okay, I want to tell you kind of how I want to lay out kind of how my listing appointments typically go. Okay, typically I get to the house, and then I will go down through each four parts of this so I can quickly explain and quickly teach you what the four presentations at every appointment are. So I typically get to the house. I always try to get there a little bit early. I feel like your listing presentation is the overall presentation and overall appointment, right? I get to the house. I get there a few minutes early. I park in the front yard. I knock on the door. I always shake their hand. I hand them a couple of business cards and ask them to give me the tour. As we're given the tour, the listing presentation is what you say and what you do while you're getting the tour of the house. What are you going to help them do? I always talk about we. I point out anything I think is going to be a problem, and things like a stain on the ceiling. Maybe they got a new roof, but they didn't paint over that water stain that's in the back bedroom. That's going to be a problem when we bring a buyer here. And I tell them just like that. Hey guys, I see you got this stain on the ceiling here. You mentioned getting a new roof. Are you guys still having a roof problem, or is this old? And they say, oh, well, Jason, that's old. And then my next response is, well, guys, we might want to take care of this, or we might want to fix it. We'll put some sealer or primer or sealant paint or something over it, because we bring a buyer through here. This is going to be a problem, because we all know, if you've been in the real estate business long and you've showed many houses, it doesn't matter if the roof was put on there yesterday. If the buyer walks through the house and they see a stain on the ceiling, they immediately go, oh, they've got roof problems here. I don't know if I want to deal with that. Because everybody believes, even on a small house, that a roof costs $100 million, So as soon as I do the tour of the house, I usually circle back around, go to the living room. My next phrase that I say is, hey guys, well, I do a lot of research before I come to somebody's house. And what I'd like to do is, can we sit down at your kitchen table and go down through everything I found? I'd like to show you guys some stuff. And they always tell you yes. And in 13 years of doing real estate sales, I've never had anybody say, no, we don't want to see what you found. They always tell you yes, because everybody wants to. It's going to be something. It's going to be valuable information to them, or they feel like it's going to be information that they need. So the first thing I do when I sit down at the table is I go through my pricing presentation, where I use an active listing strategy, active pricing strategy. We'll get to that in just a minute. As soon as I go through the active pricing strategy, I go down through my net sheet. As soon as I go down through my net sheet, I show them what they're going to put in their pocket and what they're going to walk away with, which hopefully those numbers line up with the information you got on the phone with them as far as what they want to put in their pocket and what they like to walk away with. If you guys are using my scripts are actually in the back of my For Sale by Owner Master book that's on Amazon. So if you use my script, you've gotten all the information that you need as far as what they want to walk away with. And hopefully your net sheet corresponds with that number, or at least one of the three columns in the net sheet corresponds with that number. Then the fourth presentation is your paperwork presentation. Okay, and that's where you're actually going down through the listing paperwork with them. Okay, so the listing presentation, you always want to show up early 10, 15 minutes early. You want to be a nice person. You want to point out things that you think are going to be a problem. Don't be very nitpicky, about their house, because I'll tell you, all of us have different standards of what clean is. And all of us have different standards of what in good shape means. Now, I feel like in today's market, you can't be overly picky with these sellers. I know there's some agents that like to go, oh, you've got nail holes in the wall here, you need to repaint. I feel like with inventory, with so much pressure on inventory, we're in a place where buyers can't be that picky. So the thing is, when you're selling their house and you're trying to tell them, you're giving them a monster list of things they need to do before putting it on the market, I feel like you can't be that picky either, okay? Because there's just not enough inventory to be picky over. I don't think buyers right now in today's market are squabbling over the color of the hallway bathroom, or the color of the dining room, because, when you only have 5 houses that are in their area in their price range that meet their needs, then, that's all you got to pick, So with the pricing presentation, now I use an active pricing strategy. Now what I'm doing is I'm pricing based on active competition within the marketplace. And the way I'm doing it is I'm taking the actual, in my book, I go down through this stuff in a lot of detail, but what I'm doing is I'm taking the features of the home and I'm going inside their neighborhood. Then I'm doing a 1 mile radius and a 2 mile radius. And so what I'm looking for is what their home is actually competing with today that has the same features. So if their house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with a 2-car garage that's around 1,500 square feet, I'm looking for homes that are comparable to that in the neighborhood, in our radius, just depending on how dense the population is and how dense what the density is in that area. So typically you're going to narrow it down till you have less than 10. And ideally, I'd like to be in like the bottom 1/3 of that. But I feel like in today's market now, with this active pricing strategy, you're typically going to price a little bit higher than what you would price based on a sold strategy. Now, here's the thing I tell agents, and this is the thing a lot of agents what they need to do is they need to get over themselves and let go of some control and let everybody else do their job. It's our job to sell their house for the highest, best, acceptable price the market will bring. Now, acceptable price, now this isn't always absolute top dollar. It's highest, best, acceptable price, acceptable to the seller. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe we could get another $5,000 for the house, but they're willing to accept. Maybe we could get 175, but they're willing to accept 170 today, right? That's the highest acceptable price. So our job is to get the highest, best acceptable price for our sellers. It's the appraiser's job to justify value to the bank. And that's what the appraisers are doing. Now, they have their guidelines they have to follow that we have no idea what those guidelines are. And certain banks require their appraisal to be done on under certain guidelines. So our job is to price the property to sell. The appraiser's job is to appraise it. I see agents coming up with these really crazy formulas that really nobody understands. The active pricing strategy I use is really easy to relay to your sellers and to tell your sellers and for them to feel confident in, because it's just like anything else. If you're buying, let's say you're buying bed sheets, okay, or you're buying a new car. You go look at the car dealership. They don't have the color you want. They don't have what you want they don't have what you want in your price range. You got 2 choices. Either you go up on your price range or you go to a different dealership, right? Or you wait. Buyers are the same way. If they don't have the house, if the houses that they want isn't on the market in their price range, they either have to go up on their price range, go to another area, or wait. That's how it is. And that's how you're pricing these things to sell, right? The net sheet I think is really important. I know a lot of agents have told me they don't like doing these. And one of the reasons they don't like doing it is because they feel like a seller is going to hold them to it. Now, what I do is I typically do 3 columns, low, a medium, and a high. Now, for the price that I want to list it, I like for it to be in the middle column, the medium column. but I like for at least one of the columns to line up with the price that they're wanting to walk away with and the price they're wanting to tell us, the net, to line up with that. So the net sheet, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. I typically try to make it a little bit, try to make the cost a little bit on the high side. And that way there is some cushion there. I always put a miscellaneous of about $10,000 in there. I'm sorry, $1,000 miscellaneous, not 10,000. $1,000 miscellaneous, so that there is a little bit of room in case there's something we didn't know about. But this is just an estimate in a perfect closing of what they're going to walk away with the basic fees. And I estimated everything just a little bit high. Now, the fourth presentation you have at every appointment is a paperwork presentation. And guys, I've seen this over and over and over again. Now, the thing that we forget about as real estate agents is that we see this paperwork over and over again. So it's not a big deal for us. But the reality is, this is a legal document that was created by your state or your real estate commission. And for people that don't read these things every day and don't deal with legal documents every day, there's some scary stuff in there. I tell you what, I had a seller one time. Now, every contract, and I'm in the state of South Carolina, every contract that we have has this whole sex offenders thing. And it's a paragraph that's probably about 1.5 inches long. And it basically states, and that 1.5 inches long, it basically states that if you're concerned about the sex offender list, or if you're concerned about sex offenders, there's a list you can go out there and check. I had a seller one time that they told me they couldn't sign the listing paperwork because they couldn't guarantee there were no sex offenders in the area. Now, this paragraph doesn't say anything you have to guarantee it, but this person, they don't look at legal, they're not reading legal paperwork all the time. They have never seen this paperwork before, and they just misunderstood it. Now, a lot of you guys that are listening to this, a lot of you guys have a broker in charge that goes down through your paperwork and does all this stuff. However, when they go down through it, they're going down through it word for word. And when you're learning it, you're going through it word for word. Most agents never go through their paperwork and practice explaining it in an easy to understand way to their clients, right? It needs to be practiced, and it needs to be relayed to your clients like on a third grade level. And I'm not saying your clients are stupid. What I'm saying is they need to feel comfortable, and they need the easy version. They need you to explain it to them easily. Now, what I would do is I'd get out your listing paperwork, and I'd get out all the paperwork that you use. In most states, you only use probably 4 or 5 forms over and over again. I would script those out, and I'd start practicing them. And I'd practice them with another agent in your office, practice it with your spouse or a friend, practice it with your broker in charge, whoever you need to, because so many times I've seen this, and I saw this with agents in my own market, agents that I was helping or training and stuff. What would happen, and I go on listing appointments with them, the people, they would like them, and I'd let them take the lead. People would like them. They like everything they had to say. I'd add in a few things here and there. They'd feel really comfortable. And then I'd hear the agent going over the paperwork, and I'm going, oh my God, have you ever read it? Do you even know what it says? And so many times you have a good appointment like that. You're going through the paperwork, and you look across the table at the seller, and it's like their eyes are rolling back in their head. And you're getting to the end of it, and they're going, well, we don't know if we want to sign this, or we want to think it over. And the reason they're doing that is because you explain it in a way that really scared them, or that they were really uncomfortable with, or maybe you sounded like this was the first time that you'd ever seen this too. Guys, if you get really proficient at going through your paperwork and making sure that you understand it and you can relay it properly in an easy to understand way, your closing ratios are going to go up just from that, I promise you. I mean, I think this is the number one thing that every brokerage need to teach when they're teaching paperwork to brand new agents, is how to effectively go through the paperwork. Guys, this is one of the things here that I feel like is a big problem with agents that are making calls. And I want to share with you the secret to your for sale by owner script or your expired script, or really any of your scripts. Number one, there is no secret script. There is no magic question. There is no magic formula or spell or anything like that. The magic that happens in your script is when you use the same script over and over and over again. The reason I'm so good on the phone and I can set appointments so easy, when you listen to some of those YouTube videos where I'm making calls, the reason those calls go so well is because I've been using the same scripts and dialogues for years and years. And I've done that same script, and I've went through that script and that same dialogue with people thousands of times at this point, right? The problem that most agents have is they pick up a script that they like. They usually find one on Facebook. They find one on the internet or somewhere. They pick up a script they really like, or that somebody said really worked for them. And they use that script for a couple of weeks. And by the time they actually know the script and everything, they're finding they're going, oh, this doesn't work. And they're finding another script and they're switching. The power of your script comes when you've asked those same questions, 500 times, when you've asked them to 1,000 sellers, and you can anticipate how they're going to answer, what their objections are going to be, and how you need to respond to all of it. After you've done that same script over and over and over again, you're going to be able to anticipate these things. You're going to be able to respond easily and quickly, and you're going to confidently. Now, the thing is, it's just like Bruce Lee. He said he feared not the man that knew 10,000 kicks. He feared the man that practiced one kick 10,000 times. And this is that idea. This is that same idea that comes from that quote. If you practice the same script, really, in reality, we only have about 3 to 5 objections that we get over and over and over from people. And how would your business change? Those 3 objections that we went over just a little bit ago, how would your business change if you had a role play partner 3 days a week where you only practiced overcoming those 3 objections? How would your business change if you only practiced those and you practiced them 3 times a week? This is the same way. If you practice the same script, use the same script over and over again for not just 3 days or 3 weeks, for 3 months or the next 3 years, you know what I mean? You're going to get really good. There's only a few answers to every question, There's only so many ways the seller can answer what kind of conditions your house in, and how soon do you want to get ready for it? How soon do you want to get rid of it? I've heard the joke. You say, how soon you want to sell the place? They go, ha ha, yesterday. I've heard that so many times that it almost hurts some days. And the thing is, these are the fundamentals of selling real estate. To have a winning sports team, the sports team that wins games over and over again is really good at the fundamentals of the game. So if it's football, they're really good at passing and blocking, right? The team that's the best at passing, running the ball, and blocking the ball is going to probably be the team that's going to win the most games. The agent that is the best at getting on the phone consistently, they're best at their scripts and dialogues on the phone, and they're best at their listing presentations, is going to be the agent that's going to list the most property. This is the same way. The way that you get really, really good, and the way that you find the secrets in your script is to practice that script over and over again. The fundamentals are the boring things that we do every single day, right? And the thing that you have to do to get really good at selling real estate is get really good at doing those boring things every day. Repetitious boredom, right? And I think that's why you see so many agents trying to figure out ways to get off the phone, right? They're trying to figure out some secret so they don't have to make calls, because, after you've been making those same calls for a week, 2 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, those calls get boring, right? And that's the hardest thing in the business, is trying to stay excited about doing the same thing over and over and over again. Guys, the number one tool in my listing box, and I got a few minutes here, and we're going to wrap this up. The number one tool in my listing box that I use over and over again is my pre-listing package. It is my pre-listing package, and you can download it at jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com. Now, Here's the thing about your pre-listing package. Here's a couple of the things it's going to do for you. And I go down in my book in detail about how to put this together. And I'm just going through the highlights today of this during this webinar. But my pre-listing package, the thing is, this is your brochure about the service you offer. I have this belief that we don't actually sell houses. What we sell is a service that sells houses. We get paid on that service of performance. So your pre-listing package is your brochure about that service. Okay, and this is where you set expectations for your client. This is your marketing package. The thing is, 99% of the agents out there in your market do not have nothing they can send a seller before they get there. I always ask during the call, at the end of the call, when I've set an appointment or I've got somebody that's really interested, we've had a meaningful conversation about selling their house. One of the things I ask is, I say, hey, I'd like to send you over some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. And what I send them is my pre-listing package. Okay. I send it to them. I text them, make sure they got it. I follow up with them the next day to make sure they got it. This thing, the first thing I do when they tell me they're interviewing another agent, I say, fantastic. I think what you should do is you should ask them for their marketing package. That way you can lay mine and theirs side by side and see who has the best plan, or see who you think has the best plan in writing. And never, I'll tell you this, I don't remember any time, there is no time I can think of where the seller said, oh yeah, they've got a great plan, or they sent me a great package. Typically, they tell me they don't have one. Okay, and the first thing I say is, oh my gosh, I hope they're not just going to stick a sign out in the front yard and hope something happens. Because here's the thing, that's what most agents are doing. Most agents don't know the service they're offering. They don't know what they do for every house. And here's the truth, guys. The power of listing your home with a real estate agent is the power of MLS syndication. MLS is what is going to get it out to other realtors. It's what's going to get on every single website. And there's so many things that happen in our business that's automated for you, that happen just by you putting a listing in, that once you list out those things that happen, even if you're doing nothing else, it looks like an amazing amount of stuff. Okay, putting a sign up front, taking pictures, writing a professional description. This is where you showcase all that stuff, right? And it's going to give you a lot of confidence, is number one. It's going to shorten up your listing time, is number two. Number three, it's going to really set you apart from your competition. You're going to beat out 99% of the agents in your market because of this pre-listing package. Well, guys, that's all I had planned for you today. Those are the big highlights. In my book, How to Be a FSBO Master, I go down through these things in great, great detail. And I go down through all of the stuff that we've talked about here. I go down through all of it in my book in detail. If you want to hear the whole version, it's part of my group coaching program. It's about 5-6 hours of audio total. It goes very, very in depth on my FSBO training and my FSBO It goes very in depth on my FSBO process. And right now I'm offering my group coaching for 65% off. All you got to do is go to jasonmorrisgroup.com, use the code SYSTEM65. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, make sure that's all in capital. I'm going to tell you, I've got a limited number of spots available at that price. Once this coupon code is used up, and I don't know how many are left on there, but once it's used up, my group coaching will never be this price again. I promise you. This isn't a sales pitch. I lowered the price. I did the discount, and I will never do a discount like this again. This coaching program has so much value and it goes down through a lot of my systems and all of my systems that I'm using to generate business. And that is what your business needs, is you need more systems. Anyway, guys, if I can help you, just let me know. Go to my Facebook group, Jason, Real Estate Agents That Really Work, and join it if you're not joining. If you really like this presentation, subscribe there down below. And I hope you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend.